Hello, welcome back to episode 6. Could France be right for you? Today we're going to discuss housing. Now, we are not real estate agents. We are not trying to sell you anything. But what we're trying to do is give you ideas for how to successfully find a house and be happy about it. This is not like looking for a house with a real estate agent in the United States or Canada or Great Britain or Australia, where somebody's speaking the same language that you do and just guiding you through it. You have to really be alert and aware and know all kinds of things to keep yourself safe and protected and be happy in the process as you're doing it. Lists, first of all. Whether you do it on a phone or you do it on a notebook, just get yourself a notebook, make lists. What do you want out of a house? Seriously, what do you need? How many bedrooms do you need? How many bathrooms do you need? Do you need a garage? Do you need a workshop? Find out all these things ahead of time before you even make appointments to go out and look. Then keep it with you. Don't just make the list and leave it at the apartment, the house, the hotel. Take it with you. Think about where you want to live in the situated area. Do you want to live in a village? Do you want to live in a town? Do you want to live in a city? All of those things should be your criteria lists that you carry with you all the time. A list is your friend. What are your must-have extras? Do you have extra things that you need? Is there a workshop in the back studio that you need so that you can go out and do pottery? Make everything on that list. Land size. Oh, let's talk about land size. We have met so many people since we moved to France who moved here over 20 years ago, and now they have properties that are too big for them. They cannot maintain the hedges. They cannot cut the trees every year that they need to do. The garden is just overwhelming to them. Think about the land size. Could you cope with just a balcony and a patio or a little courtyard in the back, or do you need an actual garden, a garden that's big, a garden that's small? I wouldn't advise, if you're coming over here to retire or change your lifestyle, unless you plan to keep a lot of animals, you don't need a lot of acreage. And a lot of people have fallen into that trap and then found themselves literally feeling trapped by how much land they had. So that's something to think. Standalone or attached. In the UK and Australia, we call it detached or standalone. Do you want a house that's standing all alone and you have a little bit more privacy? But what if you've got next door neighbors half a block away that are horribly noisy? You're not guaranteed to be any quieter by having a house that's a standalone house. We have a house that has party walls. There's neighbors on either side. We never hear anything. We absolutely don't. When Mark renovated this house, he put so much insulation in the walls that we're nice and quiet. You can get there. You can buy a house that's run down that needs to be fixed, and you can get there. And the other thing, and we hadn't thought about this when we first bought the house, having a house that has party walls where there's someone on either side of you, there's a little bit of a safety net there. It's like you're snuggled up next to somebody, you're shoulder to shoulder. When we've had some of the most dreadful storms all over France, all over Europe in the last year, our house hasn't lost their roof. Our house hasn't fallen down. Our house hasn't had one side wall fall off. There's a lot to be said for living in a village and having a party wall with someone. So these are all things to consider. It's your personal choice. If you feel the need to have a standalone house, go for that. Let's see. When you start thinking about what to do as far as looking for a house, I'll add 2 links in the bottom underneath. One of them is for a site called Le Bon Coin. That lists almost all what the real estate agents do now. So you don't have to keep going to a whole bunch of different agencies to look for property. The other one is, it's a notaires site. And you can just put in what area, let's say you're looking for Brittany. And you can look for just the notaires. That's who's going to do your settlement anyway. It's not a property settlement company. It's a government-regulated institution, the notaires are. So you will not overpay. You will know exactly what you're going to pay when you settle your house. And they also sell houses. A lot of times people just feel like it's easier to turn the keys over to the notaire and let them do the selling. So,
What is a notaire?
oh, a notaire is, in the United States, we call it a notary public.
There you go.
Okay, yeah, sorry. I didn't think about that.
No, just
Mark is sitting behind the camera, being the cameraman tonight. So that's good. Ask me questions like that. Let's see. All right. All of these sites usually have a range of pictures. Let's talk about the pictures. Sometimes they will show you that you need to completely renovate a kitchen. The kitchen might be so run down. It might be a 1940s or 50s kitchen. The bathrooms might be disgusting. The other thing that you're not going to always notice is that you get in and there's a musty smell and it needs to be vented and it needs to have the ventilation improved frequently. And I do mean frequently. Houses that are for sale, that are in the reasonable range, that are, the kind you can buy and they're fixer-uppers, they're usually deceased estate sales. And the people who have inherited do not want to come back and clean out Mama and Papa's furniture and all the clothes in the wardrobe. And there might be food still in the cupboards, cans of goods and jars of things. You have a lot to deal with. But what you can do is negotiate with the notaire to either make the person who is selling it come back, clean all of that stuff out. We were lucky. We didn't have that much stuff left when we bought this house. When you looked at that slideshow of oh my God, what did they do to themselves? The young man who sold us this house, who bought it thinking he was going to do it up and then didn't, he didn't leave that much stuff for Mark to take away to the déchetterie. And the déchetterie is the dump or the tip, whatever your...
the transfer station, because everything gets recycled and triaged into its own separate bin.
That's right. Okay. Well, that might be one for a visit.
Oh, lovely. Let's go to the tip.
Let's go to the tip. Let's show you how many ways we recycle everything in France. You have to think about that if you walk into a house and you think, oh, this has got really good bones, but what are we going to do with all this mess? You have to write that into the contract so that the agent, the notaire actually, knows that that needs to be gone, or else the price needs to be dropped if you're going to be stuck trying to do that. All right, heat source. Have you bought a house that has a working heat source? If it's been sitting empty for years, it might not have a working furnace. And a lot of the furnaces here in Brittany especially, I'm not acquainted with everyone all over France because we've lived in 3 parts of France. Heating oil, that stinky old oil, used to be the norm. It's not the norm anymore. They can't even sell those kind of furnaces. They can sell, what do they call it? A hybrid?
Pompe Chaleur?
Yeah,
Heat pumps.
Well, they sell heat pumps now, but if you have the old kind of furnaces that were heated with oil, you can buy a sort of a biofuel.
Oh, okay.
But if they break, they're not allowed to be replaced with a new one. You cannot even buy those anymore.
Yeah.
You can only maintain them for such a point. You have to make all of these decisions. If you find what you think is your dream house, there's a lot to be thinking about the whole time. Here in France, and in most of the rest of Europe, we have an energy rating from A to G. G does not stand for good. So what you need to do is find out if you're going to move here permanently, if you're going to move here for part of the year, if you're resettling. You need to find out what the energy rating is of any house that you buy, especially if it's a fixer-upper and you're not sure. So that clarifies that, and I'll leave it at that. On your wish list, stop and think about the idea of what I said earlier, having property. Sometimes property can be a bit of an issue. And if you have property, you usually are not on mains drainage, which is town sewer. You usually have a septic tank. And every few years, they have managed to change the rules for the septic tanks. How often they have to be pumped out, how often they need to be inspected. Just know that that's something you'll need to think about Do you want to live in the country and have to deal with the septic tank, or would you prefer to be closer into town and have, like we do, mains drainage? It makes your life a lot easier.
You'll have to have a compliant system,
Yes.
and then that's up to you whether you want to deal with the government body that deals specifically with that issue.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Okay.
Spank.
Seriously, it's called Spank. SPANC, not K, C. So Spank comes out and inspects your septic tank.
You get a spank inspection.
Yes. All right. Another thing that's very important. People have bought beautiful little cottages, a little stone cottage, and the hills are in back, and it's surrounded by trees, and they have no internet connection. None. Zero. You can't get it. The masts that are all over France run the mobile phones, and they run the internet connections. And if you're in a place where you have no masts, you can end up with a mobile phone that you have to walk to the end of the road and hold up in the air to try and get it. No, that's no way to live. You need to be able to get a signal. So find out and make sure that you are assured of what the internet signal is, or is there availability. Most of France, I know northern France, has just about been covered now with fiber straight to the house, which is wonderful. When they replaced ours last year, I was thrilled. Our internet speed just zoomed past anything I had ever seen, because before that, even though we weren't technically on dial-up internet, it was pretty darn slow, but we have very nice internet now. When you're out looking with an agent, especially if it's a French agent who doesn't speak much English, you need to find out, does he have a list of trusted contractors, of people who have all the right credentials? They have to be registered with the government to work. They need to have a SIRET number, SIRET. That means they are allowed to work. You can look it up online and you can find out what are they listed for. There are people who sell themselves as a roofer, and guess what? They're not. They're a handyman. You need to find out if they have a decennial insurance policy. Any work that they do that's structural on your house has to be able to be insured for 10 years. That's what decennial means. It's a cover for 10 years. If they don't have that, then they are not legally, qualified to be doing major repairs on your house. Do not hire people without those qualifications. But a lot of times you'll find that your real estate agent is a good friend. They'll have a list of people who will come and do the electricity. You need to have a qualified electrician, qualified plumber. If you're going to change out your hot water heater, you have to have a qualified a chimney liner, a person who's the person who comes and lines the chimney if you want to put in a wood stove, and then you get a certificate of compliance from them, and you can present that to your insurance company. All these things really matter. All right. Let's say you've started finding houses online. Don't just depend on what you're seeing online. You need to visit every single house in person. If you buy online, you're going to find yourself in trouble. The one thing, and I'm not being unkind, because this is kind of universal. We've seen this everywhere, including the last place we lived before we came here in Australia, where you think, oh, look how big the living room is. Look how big those bedrooms are. And that's the angle of the lens that they've taken it with. And it's deceiving. It really is. And you can think you're buying a house that has enough room for everything, and it doesn't. So visit in person. I have a list of all the things you should take with you.
It also, the photos online may not show you the 2 abandoned cars in the backyard that nobody's talked about, and that are an absolute nightmare to get taken away without the proper paperwork.
Oh, that's true. There's paperwork for everything in France. Everything.
So,
yeah. People buy these rural properties and think, oh, well, that's fine. Somebody will haul it away. No, not necessarily. So that was a good point. Yes. Okay. Global issue was, though, overstating room sizes. So take the following with you. Ready? Look. Take a notebook. Take a tape measure, a good quality tape measure. Take a phone or a camera and take photos. And the reason for that is, and it even happened to us, when we were looking for houses, after you've seen 2 or 3, all of a sudden they start running together in your head and you can't remember which house had what door that went into which hallway, which bathroom was the one that was disgusting and you'd have to replace it like on day 1. Take a flashlight. For those of you in England, take a torch so that you can look into rooms. Often these houses have been sitting empty for years and they don't have any lights on. You need to take all of these things with you. Take a set of disposable gloves. You never know what you're going to be touching. Could just be dust, could be something else, including mold. So just protect yourself again. Again, if you've got a notebook, you can draw a quick floor plan and then take those measurements and one of you holler out to the other one, all right, this is 3 meters from here to here. This is 4.5 meters from here to here. And then when you get back to your hotel room or wherever you're staying, you have a better idea of what it is you could potentially do with those rooms in that house. This is an important one. Try to visit at a couple of different times of day. Then take notes on what are you listening to. Church bells. That's an important thing. All villages, well, not all villages, but a lot of villages have what we have is a huge church up the street, and it chimes. How many times a day does he go off?
Every hour, every half hour.
Okay.
Between 8 and 9.
Some people find church bells absolutely charming. Other people go, why doesn't that shut the F up? So,
also weddings, also funerals.
Funerals, yeah.
Also any day of remembrance.
Feast days that are holidays.
There could be any number of bells.
Yeah. And some people really like that, but I would not want to be literally
the house
across from the church. We looked at one house in another village before we bought this one, and you would have felt like you were standing in the church. It was that loud. It was really loud. So think about things like church bells. The other thing is, where's the other one? Traffic. Look and see what kind of traffic goes through the village or the town or the area. Do you have big trucks that rumble through? Do you have tractors that rumble through? In our neighborhood, we do. We have tractors. See how many young people are coming and going at school time. Then look at the amenities of the town. What does the town have? Do you have a cafe? We used to, we don't now. Do you have a boulangerie where you can go and pick up fresh croissants? Is there, other than a cafe, is there a little bar tabac where you can go and buy a newspaper and start to learn French by literally turning the pages of a paper? Are there any little shops? All those things matter, so pay attention to them. Don't just fluff them off because you go, oh, I could do so much with this house. Put some time into it. Take it easy. Take it slow. All right. Regard it as an adventure, not a chore. Because if you start getting worn down...
Beautiful. Yeah.
Well, think about it. We looked for houses before we bought this one, we had been looking for houses for over 2 years. And it was getting to be a chore because every time we would look at the pictures online, we would call the agent, we'd go out and we'd go, oh my God. And what you couldn't see was, there were porches collapsing off the back into the soil or, subsidence where the stairs had slipped down. And you have to go in person and you can't get discouraged because no, this is a universal problem. This is not a France problem. There are always people who don't maintain houses, or if they die and the house has been for sale for years, nobody's there to go, oh, if we just did a little bit of that, and that maintenance would have saved the day for the house. All right. Inspection. Always make sure you insist on getting a complete inspection. When we got that inspection for this house, it was really clear. The person was so clear that they took pictures and added them to the report of every place where they were going, oh, God, that is not compliant electricity. That is not compliant. And then when we got in here, we found out we had 1950, literally 1950 was the last time it had been renovated, because this house...
No, that wasn't renovated. They added the electricity in 1950.
That's probably true.
Yeah.
That's probably true, because part of this house was built in the 1700s. Part of this house was built in the 1800s. And the workshop that Mark went through in the last episode, that was built in the 1960s. So you have to make sure you have safe electricity. You can't...
Is the report standard from the notaire when you buy the house?
I think it was an optional extra when we bought, because it was almost 5 years ago now.
Standard, sorry.
I think it's standard now.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
And what they'll do is they'll tell you all the things you need to do, including if you've got lead paint, or if you've got asbestos, or if you've got, what else?
Termites.
Oh, yes, wood-boring insects. They'll give you a report on that. That is important to have. That really is essential. Okay, the no-tear system. Before I get to that, let me go back one step. Expect mess. Do not expect it to look like a suburban house that has been styled in the United States or Canada or Australia or even in England. Expect mess. It's not going to be nice.
The ones that are dressed exist.
Oh yeah, they do exist.
And
they're a lot more. Yep. They're a lot more.
That may be in your budget, that may not.
No, but if you're coming over here to have a more relaxed lifestyle and just think about having no mortgage. Wow, what a dream. Have no mortgage. It's a fabulous feeling. It really is. So, all right, the last thing, the no-tear system. The no-tear system is very transparent and very safe. You're going to be able to feel confident knowing that you're not going to be overcharged in many places. And I can tell you a perfect example. In different parts of Australia, in Victoria, where we were living before, you would get a no-tear that would charge this much in Ballarat and charge this much in Melbourne and charge this much. They could charge whatever they wanted to. It was like an open market. Here, it's mandated by law. The no-tear charges you this amount. That's all. So it's bracketed so that if your house is between this price and this price and this price, you're going to pay the different fees according to what your house price is. But it's by law. He can't charge you for extras. There's no, oh, well, we'll just throw that on top because they look like they're rich Americans, or they're rich Canadians, or they're rich Australians, or they're rich Brits. No, it's very transparent and very honest. And we found that quite comforting. The no-tear can also end up being a bit of a friend, because if you move here permanently, you'll want a new will, and they can draw up a will for you. So, can you think of anything else we need to be discussing?
I think you got quite a lot in this video.
I didn't know that I would get this much. I thought that I would get through my page of, I drew notes, and I had 2 pages, and I thought, oh, I'll get through 1 page, and then I'll take a break, and we'll come back and we'll make it the next episode. No, we've done it all in one big stretch. Good, with 1 break where I lost my thinking power. This has been fun. Hope you're enjoying it. If you are enjoying it, please consider liking, subscribing so you get the notices, and then leave a comment. If you leave a comment, that shows engagement, and it shows that you actually, enjoyed it, or you have a question. Go ahead. Give it a go. Give it a comment. Bye. See you soon.